Hi there, and welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, a show where a father and son, and sometimes others, sit down and talk about fantasy bullshit. I'm Zach, the son in that equation.
And that would make me Jim, the father, and it's great to have everybody with us here as we kick off on one of our midweek specials. This only being the second one of them, but if you listen to the first one, you know this is not business as usual. This is something we're just going to have some fun today in all sorts of areas of fantasy fiction. Zach, this is a little different for us in one context today. We are not in the same room. We're not even in the same city today.
No,
we've
we're
never
not even
done
in
it
the
like
same
that.
state. I'm currently all the way down in Texas while you're still there in Washington.
Yes, and I'm about to get snow. Thanks for
Really?
leaving right before I get snow. Not cool.
It's nice. It's been the warmest I've felt in months.
I'm sure. Texas, absolutely. So we've got that going for us, but it is still great to be able to record together. Technology is grand. Mm-hmm. We also have 3 guests with us today. The first time we've had other people join us for our podcast. A great multi-podcast collaboration going on here as we do our fantasy draft. Not football,
right.
fantasy. Yeah, it's Zach's going to explain all about that to everybody here, but I want to take the time to thank our guests here today and introduce each of them, give them a chance to talk about who they are and what they do for podcasts as well, because all of their podcasts are ones that I follow. I've been listening recently, binging in fact, and enjoying what's out there. So I'm sure if you like our podcast, you would like theirs too. So let me give a shout out to each one, and they'll tell a little bit about themselves. First up, Steven from Fantology. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Steven. I am one of the hosts of Fantology. It's actually a show with 5 different contributors, 5 longtime friends that just loved fantasy books so much that last year we decided, hey, why don't we just start a podcast? We've got nothing else to do. COVID's going around. And 100 episodes or so later, we've churned through a bunch of books and love it and are just continuing on. Typically, our podcast format is we'll just read a book and then review it with full spoilers. So if you like fantasy books, which you probably do since you're listening to this episode,
Most likely.
then odds are that we've covered a book or 2 that you have read. So go ahead and check us out. Excited to be here, though.
Awesome. Next up, Alex from A Hero's Journey. What you got for us?
Hey everyone, I'm Alex, one of the co-hosts of A Hero's Journey, where me and 2 of my friends from undergrad talk about a different book each week through the lens of Joseph Campbell's monomyth. And what we try and do is highlight how a book, typically a fantasy book, but sometimes other classic works, either fits or doesn't fit into the hero's journey.
Very interesting stuff. I love the debate that goes on back and forth on your podcast sometimes. It's pretty good. Not to diss Fantology. Love what I'm hearing there, too, between all of your people. I'm like, oh, I didn't say anything about Stevens. Okay. Finally,
Not to worry.
let me go to Drew with the Inking Out Loud podcast. Hi there.
Hi, yeah, thanks for having me on. Yeah, so with Thinking Out Loud, I am one of the hosts there, and we are a fantasy book club podcast, well, sci-fi and fantasy, and we analyze books a little bit more from the writer's perspective, since both my co-host and I are writers, and you can find some of my literary analysis and book reviews on Tor.com as well, and I'm a Brandon Sanderson beta reader.
I was
Tend to
jealous
dive
when
a
I heard
little-
about that, by the way. I was very jealous.
Yeah. So I tend to dive a little more into the analytical side of breaking down how fantasy books work, but it's also a hell of a lot of fun to sometimes just bring it back out and dive into the fandom side, which is what we're doing today. So thanks for having me.
Definitely. Our pleasure. Again, thank you to each of you for joining us, taking time to be part of this special episode. We hope you have a great time with us today. Just having a lot of fun being creative with who we would put on our fantasy team. And just in case, I do want to apologize in advance for crushing all of your teams. Just to put that out there.
Oh, no.
Bold words.
Trash talking already.
Of course. All right, before I turn this over to Zach again, I do want to give out the heavy spoiler alert. Those of you who are regular listeners on our podcast know we are usually spoiler light, just trying to enhance what we're covering, not giving you all the dirt and messing up the endings for you.
This
in
time
this,
we're getting muddy.
Oh yeah, very muddy. We will be pulling all sorts of characters from all sorts of series, and in order to make our case for why we're drafting them, we have to tell you about them. You may hear some things from books or series you haven't read yet. We hope it will just intrigue you enough to want to go read that series too now. But if that's something you are afraid is going to just tick you off, stop listening now. And I will put in the show notes all of the series that we end up drafting from. I'm not going to tell you the characters. That would ruin it. But I'll put all the series. So you can look later and say, okay, I've read that. Oh, I don't care about that one. All right, and that. Okay, I can listen. Or you'll know not to. All right.
And we are going to actually say what series and book we're drafting our character from. So I guess maybe we don't encourage people to stop listening now, but like later on, if they hear something they don't want to hear, that's when they can stop listening.
There is that
skip ahead a little bit,
because there's going to be
Skip
good
ahead a little.
entertainment along the way, people. You may just want to listen anyways. That's right.
We will be signposting the warnings, if you will, as we go. But you've had the one big one up front as well.
There you go. All right, Zach, back to you. Tell us how this is going to work today.
So if you've ever played any sort of fantasy sports, be it football, baseball, or whatever, it's a similar concept, if you will. We all will get our turns and we all get our picks. However, our teams, or rather our fellowships, are going to be just a little bit different, having only 5 specific categories that we can pull in for. These categories do not have to be in any particular order, but rather are the positions on the field that you can fill. The first of these positions is the rogue. This is your thief, your assassin, your stealth expert, the person who can get in and out and do what needs to be done. They don't need to be deadly, but they can. They also don't need to be able to use magic, but they can. It's not a requirement in this category. The next is the warrior. This one, it's about your strength, or your skill, or your ability to kill. It doesn't matter if you can kill by your badass glares or by your knife and sword skills. But when it comes down to it, if you're trapped in a corner, who do you want at your back?
You're mean killing machine.
No, it's a mean, keen milling machine.
Yeah,
That's
thank
what
you.
I thought.
I've only had 2 sips of wine. I don't know why that happened already.
The third of these categories is our caster. Anytime we talk fantasy, whether it's more leaning to the sci-fi or fantasy, magic's probably gonna be there. And this is your opportunity to go crazy with it. Magic, for this person, should be their main focus, if not their main go-to choice. But that's enough about that. We don't need to talk magic. That's not that
We all
important
know
in fantasy.
magic. There you go.
The next category here is the thinker. Now, this might be a little bit unorthodox for a fellowship, but you always need someone who has the master plan. Someone who comes up with a scheme and, when the scheme totally falls apart, is able to get them all out of it. And that's this character. Their biggest weapon is their brain. And finally, if you didn't like any of those categories, well, we've got one for you. It's the wild card. Put
I like
whatever
this
you
one.
want in it. If you feel that you got robbed, that you couldn't fit enough in a specific category, or someone took your favorite pick, do it back with a wild card. So, with those categories out of the way, now come the nitty-gritty rules. With any good draft, you're going to have some. With ours, we have limitations. For the first, we can only grab a character from a series once. That means if we pick a character that is in a series, for this we're thinking continuous series, not things connected across an expanded universe, then we can't use that series again for any of our other picks. It's fair game for anyone else, but not for ourselves. In a similar vein, the second limitation. Each of us has access to the same world of characters. Therefore, if someone else already has a hero or even villain on their team, we can't take it because it's already been claimed.
Hands off Snow White. You can't have her. Okay. I don't know. Figure I was safe
I
with
guess
that
she
one.
counts as fantasy. I honestly never thought of that. I might have to change my picks. And then really the last of these major limitations is no god level characters. Don't pick something that's going to break the game, if you will. that's not to say you can't pick that character, but rather you need to pick them at an earlier stage. Something that's a little lower down the line and not quite going to one-shot everyone they run into. And with that, we just get into the semantics of how we run any things. Before we get into that, any questions from anyone?
I have a question.
Yes.
So we're building our fellowships, and there's some notion of one is better than the other. How do we determine this? Is it just our favorite cast of characters? Is it the characters who are most likely to go kill the dragon? Is it the most deadly characters? What is the criteria?
Here's the fun place where this gets to be a little bit arbitrary, in that it's not arbitrary, but it is. At the end of this full draft, we all will get to vote. However, the criterion that each of us votes for our favorite on will be our own. We will not be able to vote for our own fellowship, but if you want to vote on whichever one you thought was the funniest, do it. If you want whichever one you think is the most powerful, go for it. If you want whichever one you think just fits together the best, do it. And in that way, it's not shifted and leaned just towards your own strategy, but you have to deal with what everyone else is thinking as well.
Okay.
And when the final results are published, anyone who comes across this later can decide if they agree on their own criteria. And if not, why not? What did they judge on?
Now, for all our listeners, Zach just sprung that on all of us, so we did not know that criteria ahead of time. We're all now mentally recalculating our picks. No.
Oh, yeah.
But we
Yeah,
will
gotta
be
throw
debating.
everything out the window.
Yeah, we'll be debating and making a case, certainly, for why you all should pick for mine, etc. You know, and then we'll see how the chips fall.
So as we move along, the order will shift along in a draft formation that I don't understand. I'm not a huge sports guy. I played a lot. I don't watch a lot. So I need help. And the rest of you all here, you guys can keep me honest and help me out. However, the first round has already been decided mostly randomly. I'm at the end. But everyone else was decided before we started recording with a roll of a d4. The first pick goes to my dad, unfortunately. I wasn't excited about this roll.
Works for me. I don't see what the problem is.
So why don't you take it away?
All right. So I was dreaming that perhaps I would have the first pick, which meant I had to decide then which one is my slam dunk. Which one can I pick, and there's nobody else has a chance at taking this person. And that's actually agony, man, because there's so many that are good. But I made my decision. I'm going to fill my rogue category first.
Ooh.
And I am taking... And we talk about this in the podcast a lot. Pronunciations vary because our brains are different. So I'm going to pronounce, and if you've heard it otherwise, feel free to correct me. But I'm going with Durzo Blint from the Night Angel series.
Okay.
Okay, the ultimate rogue.
By Brent
I'm going to need
Weeks.
a lot of help with that spelling.
Durzo
Yep.
Blint.
Thank you.
Go. Now,
He actually was on my list, but he's not my top pick, so I'm not too worried.
Well, I didn't steal from anyone on this one. You know, and there is a lot of depth in the fantasy genre, so we may have plenty of these where we don't steal each other's, but I bet there's going to be some where people are going, dash you all! But, you know, this one, for those who don't know about Durzo, I mean, he's, in the series, he's about 700 years old. There's a magical means by which he has survived all this time, and over the course of his lengthened life, he has been able to, develop an amazing ability with weapons, with armor, proficient in just about anything you can name out there. But he's also got knowledge in herbs, poisons, mixtures. The term they use in the book is also he's a celebrated wet boy. You want
That
someone
doesn't sound
dead,
right.
he can get them dead. And
I did
And
not
we
know
should
we
probably
were...
say this is by Brent Weeks, right? Did you say
Yes.
that?
I did say that, but I think
Night
we were all
Angel.
talking
Okay.
when I was trying to say it anyway, so it got over
Okay.
talked.
Shout out Brent.
There you go. And, he has some typical skills that go with what you want in your rogue. He can cloak himself in shadows, climbs all sorts of objects and structures. He even has talent with a capital T that makes him able to do things like catching swords, fast healing, self-transformation. So some pretty overpowered abilities that I said, this is my guy. So Durzo Blint, there you go.
Okay.
I want to make sure I understand the rules 100%. So, does this now mean that the Night Angel trilogy is off limits to
Only to me.
everyone?
Only to me.
So you've taken yours, and
I
if I
can't do
wanted
anyone
to,
else
I
from there.
could.
You sure can. You
Okay.
can't have Durzo, but you can have anyone else from that series still.
Durzo is
Good,
gone,
good.
but Night Angel is still golden for anyone except for my dad.
Right.
And speaking of, Drew, you get the second pick.
Well, I feel like this is an absolute slam dunk for me here. I'm going to go for the caster category, and I'm going to pick Rand al'Thor.
When?
Now, I
This
will
is very
say
important.
this is not Rand al'Thor at the end of the Wheel of Time.
Okay.
This is Rand al'Thor before the last battle.
What, do you have a
before he
problem
gets
with insanity? What? Yeah.
No, this is Rand al'Thor in Towers of Midnight.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but not when he has reality-altering powers at the end of the series.
Because we said there was no, like, God, like... I mean,
Right.
not that... Yeah,
It's
kinda
too much at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Gray area a little bit there.
arguable
Okay.
as to whether he could be called a god even at that point already.
Yeah, I feel Rand does have god powers by that point, and so I'm like, I'll take it easy on it, but I'll still pick, as my friends and I call him, Jesus Rand.
Yeah, I like it.
When
I like
he
it.
has achieved his equilibrium and is quite a badass.
All right, so
Right.
Towers of Midnight
Definitely
Rand
a valid pick.
from the Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan's Ultimate Series. All right.
I think when he walks down off the mountain and they have that apples chapter. I think it's
Apples
like
first.
Apples, yeah, that one. That's like one of my favorite parts of the series.
Yeah,
But really,
it's a
to me,
beautiful
that's
scene.
That's the turning point where Rand is no longer human, really.
He has become like transcending soul lives, and yeah.
So, strong pick.
Definitely.
He's somebody who could have fit into multiple categories.
Yeah,
So I'm
for
just
sure.
curious. We won't ask this every time, but did anyone else have him anywhere on their list that now you have to cross it off? I did not.
I mean, I had him down for caster as well. I think he could also fit into... There are better picks for warrior, but he could be a warrior. Caster's probably the most natural for him, I would say.
Yeah.
I
Really
just
hot
have
take?
Wheel of Time down in Caster, so I'm gonna probably pick someone from there. Didn't
It's probably safe to say everyone's picking Wheel of Time somewhere on their list. It's just a matter of who
Likely.
and where. Yeah.
Likely.
All right. Then for our third pick here, Alex, you get the third pick in the first round.
All right, I'm very excited. I thought Drew was going to be taking this. From Brandon Sanderson's The Cosmere, I'm going to pick Yasna as my thinker. If you are familiar with her, she is like the smartest person in the Stormlight Archive.
This is a great pick. This
Yes.
is a great pick.
Yeah.
Debatable.
Allow me to say crap as I cross this off my list. Okay, fine.
Yeah, she's able to plan and think with Hoyd, a person who's been around since the shattering of Adonalsium, which started the whole Cosmere. She's able to provide a dissertation that gets people to join an alliance with Dalinar, a feared warrior throughout the world. And in addition to all of her thinking skills, she has crazy magic abilities that I'm sure will be useful in our quest.
For the background here, I'm still reading Rhythm of War. I'm about 70% through. But I've gotten to the scene where Yasna goes ahead and puts that High Prince in his place.
Yeah.
That is so awesome. And that's why she was on this list for me as a thinker. Amazing.
Yeah,
Very
I
nice.
can't think of a better one. And she's used to dealing with battle plans and everything now, post Rhythm of War.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
I
Good
think
pick.
after her performance in Oathbringer, at the end of Oathbringer, when she just goes crazy on everyone, when the perpendicularity's opened and she just has unlimited stormlight.
Oh, yeah.
That was probably when she became if not my favorite character in Stormlight, like very much up there. And it doesn't help that I got the Elt's Collar, the Elt's Collar that's Radiant selection in my official quiz from Brandon Sanderson. So I feel a kinship there.
So you bonded with her. Well,
For
we
all
shouldn't
of
say
your
a
reference,
bond then. We shouldn't say a bond, really. That does
None of this makes any sense to me because I haven't read it yet. And I love it, and
That's
I'm
awesome for you,
excited.
though. You have so much.
You have so much.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Oh boy.
Moving on to pick number 4 here. Steven, what you got?
Okay, I'm also going to go for Brandon Sanderson. I feel like we need to... The strategy is at the beginning, you got to go for the popular ones, right? Because they're going to get swept off the board. So I'm going to choose my warrior, and I am going to choose Dalinar.
No.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of warriors, actually. In my listings, I had more warriors than anyone else. But I think Dalinar is a popular one that you guys are going to want to take, so I'm going to take him now. And after the events of Oathbringer, when you see his backstory, you see the Blackthorn unleashed, if you will. When the story starts, when the book starts, he's a little bit older. Maybe you've heard the legends, but you're not sure exactly who this guy is. But when you get into Oathbringer, you realize just how menacing Dalinar can be, and I think he's the best warrior choice. So that's me.
That's a great choice, but I'm annoyed because I actually had Dalinar for my wild card.
Oh, okay.
I was thinking of choosing Dalinar for my warrior just so I could say he's the type of warrior who will stab someone in the eye and then use that knife to take a bite of meat after.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. No, good pick.
So rounding out the last round here, or first round, I guess.
Yeah.
My bad.
The last of the first.
I get a pick. And I'm just picking this one because he's my favorite, and I'm so glad no one took him. We're going back to the Wheel of Time, Robert Jordan, and I'm just going to throw in my wild card because I want it there. And this is Matt Cawthon.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Yeah, I had him on my wild card list. That one's coming up. All right.
And it does not matter what he could fit in almost any category. I say almost, not throwing him in a caster.
I had him in my thinker category.
But to an extent, if wildcard was a category that actually was a category, not just your filler category, Matt belongs.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely took wild card as an actual wild card as well as fitting in the whatever I needed.
So with that rounding out the first round, now I need help on who actually goes next.
So now we go to Drew then to start off, right? We start at the second person from the first round is now the first of the second round.
And we're
So it'd be
we're
Drew,
rotating
Alex,
around
Steven,
that.
Zach, and then me.
Going the other way. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Oh man. Ooh, this actually changes things. I thought I was going to be going later. I think for my rogue, I'm going to take Vin from Mistborn.
That's a good one.
That's another one to cross off my list.
I mean, she's got all the all the stealth, all the ruthlessness you can hope for, and of course she has extreme skill with allomancy. Unfortunately, I can't take her at end of series Vin because of the rules, but
Right.
but I'll do what I can. I'll do what I can.
No ascended warrior. No.
Yeah, no ascendant warrior.
Still a great pick.
So
Yeah.
then the next one, then we move backwards from
No.
the previous.
Nope. Now
Forward
we keep
from the
going down the line. So I was
So-
first in the first round. I'm going to end up being last this time. So if we go to Alex.
Alex is next.
Yes.
So now this makes sense to me, I think.
As hinted at, I'm going to take a caster, and I'm going to go with the Wheel of Time character. I'm going to go with my favorite Wheel of Time character, Nynaeve. I think she has the
Yes.
strongest channeling ability. She is a healer as well, always needed in a traveling party. And I am so happy that I had the two picks that I did to start off with.
Ooh, okay. That means I'm up. There is
You
a
are.
lot. A lot to look through here. Okay, I am. I want to be original, but at the same time, I know I want the Wheel of Times, and those are going to go off the board pretty quickly.
I'm saving my original picks for later because I know nobody else is going to pick them. At least I hope not.
I'm gonna kind of mirror Alex a little bit here. I'm gonna take, also from Wheel of Time, also a caster, also a strong female character. I'm gonna take Moraine as my caster.
All right.
Ooh.
Hard to argue with Moraine.
Yeah, I feel like she's fairly popular, but there is a segment of the fandom who's like, Moraine is annoying and Rand is right. But no, all the way through, I was all in on Moraine. She has a nice, I guess, full spoilers for the end of the book. We already kind of did that with Rand al'Thor, but she's got a nice comeback there, a very nice survival story, and in the end, I mean, she achieves what she set out to do, which was save the world through Rand al'Thor. So Moraine is awesome. Gotta love her.
Now I
Plenty
want
of characters that I didn't feel bad to see them go. I was glad that she got to live.
I want to probe this one just a little bit. I find it an interesting choice with some of the other casters who are still around from Wheel of Time that you went with Moraine. But you have your reasons.
For as much like raw power, but more like likable, strong characters. Come on, she's headlining the TV show.
I think this is a really fascinating choice because on the one hand, we have several channelers far stronger than she is.
Definitely.
On the other hand, who other than Rand killed more of the Forsaken than Warraine?
Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Drew, for supporting me.
I gotta ask, Steven, when are you picking Moraine? Are you picking Moraine?
It's pretty important when. Yes.
Before she goes into I can never remember
Tower
the
of
name of that world.
Tower of
Yeah,
Genji?
Tower of
Right.
Genji, or
Okay.
after.
Okay.
And then if after everybody,
Say
does
after.
she get her
Say after.
on
She'd still get it. She still gets it.
She'll get that. Okay.
It's an equivalent power level, if not a little more. So it's
does
fair.
Does it matter? I guess I described her to the end, so I guess I have to stick with that I liked her entire character arc, so
All
I'm
right.
going at the end.
All right.
But to your credit, I would say I think it's a solid pick, not just because it's a caster, but because it dips a little bit into that thinker. It's not that she is that powerful, but she knows how to use what she's got.
True.
Well
Come on,
defended.
Moraine and Dalinar, this is a winning team so far.
You definitely got the age on your side, experience.
Yes.
Ouch, calling her old.
All right, Zach, what you got for your next pick?
I think I gotta go a little bit older, a little more classic. I'm filling my rogue spot here. Going back, I'm saying it takes all of the Lord of the Rings off the board for me, but it's from The Hobbit. And that's Bilbo Baggins post getting the ring.
Okay.
Ooh,
Now, this
It
clearly...
sounds like a sentimental pick, dude.
No. Because the rogue category, as specified by my rules, is not necessarily someone who's powerful. It can be. It doesn't have to be someone who's great at killing. Bilbo has something going for him, just like Matt does on my team, and that's that these are incredibly lucky boys. They have weird ways of just making it through situations that they have no business surviving, that they have some incredible abilities, some great items, but the biggest thing on their side is the luck. And that's how I'm building this so far.
All right.
Interesting.
You've made your case. You're
Then
wrong,
I
but
believe
no.
that brings it... Thanks, Dad. It brings it full circle back to you, Dad.
Yes. All right. So for my second pick, I am going to my warrior category. None of you have chosen any of mine yet. So I get to take my top warrior. This is my time to dip into the Stormlight archives, and I am taking Kaladin Stormblessed from Oathbringer. So before he's having some PTSD issues getting in the way. Okay, but after he is fully radiant, man, he is badass. I love the ability to heal.
You don't anticipate him getting even better by the end of
I haven't
War?
finished, but it totally could happen. It's true. I'm taking a risk because I refuse to look ahead on that one and ruin the book I am currently reading.
I think that's a good choice.
But he's bad enough right there. I mean, if he goes up to the next level, which he very clearly could, I see where this is headed in Rhythm of War. I could be missing out, but he's pretty crushing already in Oathbringer. So that's what I got.
All right, coming into this midway point round, I believe we'll be starting with Alex. Is that correct?
That is.
Yes.
Fantastic.
All right. So for my third pick, I've taken two big series. I'm going to go a little smaller, but still very popular with Evan Winter's The Burning series. And I'm going to pick Cal for my warrior. So if you are unfamiliar, Tao is from a lower class and smaller, but he is more fearsome than any warrior in the series. He, instead of just training normally, like a normal person, in the real world, decides that I'm going to go train in the demon world, where time goes slower. So he spends thousands and thousands of hours, lifetimes, just learning how to fight demons, which he cannot possibly beat, dying and coming back and going to fight again. He will take down magically enhanced warriors that typically can only be taken down by swarms of people, like 20, 30 people just piling on and being taken down by sheer numbers by himself through his prowess of arms. When he's going up against magically enhanced warrior from another race who's like fearsome champion, she sees him coming and turns and runs the other way. He is that scary, that crazy good of a warrior.
That's a great series. I don't know if you guys have gotten into it yet, but it's pretty critically acclaimed, and I think for good reason.
Yeah, you've made a good case for it. That's one I'm not familiar with yet, but I will get familiar eventually, it sounds like.
Evan Winter is one of my favorite authors now, only having these 2 books. They're just so good, so fast-paced. I love the Burning series, so go check it out.
Nice.
Interesting.
Okay,
All right,
I believe that brings me up again.
Yes, Steven, you got it. What you got?
Okay, I am going to select my rogue, and I'm going to go with who I believe is the ultimate rogue out there in fantasy, and that is Locke Lamora from the Gentleman Bastard series by Scott Lynch. Yeah.
I definitely considered him.
You are killing me. I had Locke for my thinker. I had Locke for my thinker.
Oh, another good spot. Yeah.
He's a good thinker as well, but I believe he's a little more of a rogue. Him and Jean make up an excellent romance tandem. There's only 3 books of the series so far. The 4th has been a little delayed, but I'm eagerly looking forward to Thorn of Emberlane when that comes out. I don't know that. I mean, I feel like I described Locke pretty well there, just in saying he's a very classical rogue. He's an excellent thief. He's very smart, very witty, gets out of every situation, is always able to kind of worm his way around, and doesn't have incredible superpowers or anything, but is still able to win the day for the most part. He's not always. He's bested every now and then, but those are fantastic books, so I would encourage you guys to check those out if you have not.
All right.
That's a pick right there.
Oh, goodness. I'm up?
You are, Zach.
Oh,
what do you think?
What do I left? Okay. I think I'm going to go for Castor this time. And I know for a fact my dad has not read this series. It's the Old Kingdom series by Garth Nix.
I just finished the 3rd book last week, so this is perfect.
And I'm going with, this is one where you might have to correct me on my pronunciation, Sabriel.
Yeah, that's right.
Sabriel.
Sabriel? I'll go with it. I'm down with it.
Tell us why.
Sabriel is an Abhorsen, which is a specific category of good necromancer characters. She has the ability to send the dead back, basically. But she also theoretically could get the dead and bring them back here as well, and has. And death is viewed in the series as kind of this river and series of gates that you can cross and not cross, and there are a whole lot of rules that go with it. But the end purpose of why this pick, I think, really establishes and has a place here is it accounts for some of when the luck that I was already building in my team runs out. People start dying. Not a problem if you've got a good necromancer on your side, technically speaking.
But she would never bring anyone back.
Well, she would never bring anyone fully back, but if they're like mostly dead but they're not all the way dead, she's done that. So
we'll see how his fellowship rolls. All right.
That's a really interesting pick. Yeah,
it's very practical, I guess.
I've only read a little bit of the Old Kingdom, but yeah.
I will be fully honest and say I think the first one's the best, and they go a little bit downhill. It does a time jump that I didn't enjoy as much.
What is the name of the first book?
It's
Sabriel.
Her name, Sabriel.
Okay. I think I've seen that. I've not read any, though. This is a blind spot.
Yeah. She also does have just like regular casting magic.
Oh, yeah.
The charter magic. I don't know. You didn't really mention it, but she does.
No.
Yeah.
It's got rules, but she has real magic. as well as skill with a blade and some other martial abilities, if you will. But that's not why I chose for my team, so it wasn't what I was focusing on.
Yeah, I got you.
Moving back around, we get to my dad again.
Yeah. Okay. And I am at a quandary on my pick here. I'm going to be picking my caster, and I love both of my top 2 picks. Neither of you took either one yet, so dang it. Now I have to decide. I have the one that I think is absolutely powerful, awesome, incredible, and really intelligent and awesome. And then I have the other one that's awesome and powerful, incredible, and really intelligent, awesome. And wow. Okay. I am going to go with...
You should go with the absolutely powerful, incredibly awesome one.
Yeah, thanks, Stephen. That really helped. Yeah.
Yeah. You
All
should
right.
pick the one that I had as my backup.
I'm going to go with the one that I'm going to say is more hip. Harry Dresden. I am
I love
taken
it. I
from
love it.
Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files. He's one of the most powerful younger wizards around. He continues to grow in power, skill, and abilities all through the series. So obviously I'm taking him late in the series. Any challenge that comes his way, he's up for it now. He is up for it. He's got natural ability, and he's constantly figuring out more, but he's also very intelligent, which is allowing him to apply his abilities in ways that help him navigate out of the darkest difficulties. I also certainly appreciated his healing abilities, even though if it's pretty severe, it can take a while. Yet when that happens in the books, there's always something that happens, so whoom, instant heal. Something happens. He's just got things on his side. Certainly part of it being that he is starborn. For those who have read enough, you know what that is. And then, of course...
Do we know what it is? We know it's something, but
it's
not much.
certainly something. Yeah.
I don't know any of this.
And
Yeah,
then,
I do not. I've only read the first book.
oh, you've got more. You got a lot to dig into. Then there's good stuff.
This is what, 15 now?
17.
Yeah, it's way up there.
2 last year.
So
Yeah,
since
that
not
was
everybody
fantastic.
is as familiar, just a few other tidbits I'll point that really, throw it to him on how strong he is. He's got some interesting quirks. His natural abilities also interfere with technology, which he knows how to use sometimes for his benefit. He also has the sight, the third eye. He has...
He's got an awesome dog. Don't gloss over that.
Oh, okay, well, I guess I should claim the dog then. Okay.
That's a
But
big
I
pro.
did
Plus
wanna
he's
mention-
funny. The,
also-
the humor, I think, is a
Oh,
big
yeah.
pro for me.
Very entertaining read, all of those. And then he's got non-magical abilities you throw into boot. I mean, he's in peak condition. He knows how to fight. He's 6'9". He's a specimen. So all those things. That's my caster.
Okay.
Now that we're officially past the halfway point, Drew, what's your pick?
So I'm up. And I have to... Oh, what do I want? I think I'm going to go with my wild card. And I'm going to choose Vasher
Okay.
from Warbreaker. This is a guy who knows how to read people really, really well. He knows how to lay a plan and adjust his plans as events start, getting out of control. And he has an extremely powerful magical ability. And maybe, let's just say one of the more powerful magical artifacts we've seen in fantasy.
Is that not its own character?
I think Vasher in Warbreaker, Nightblood comes with Vasher.
But not necessarily in Stormlight.
No, not.
Yeah, but I said Vasher in Warbreaker.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Fair enough.
All right, so now I see where this goes. All right.
All right. That will finish up round 3. So starting round 4, Steven, you get the first pick.
Okay. I am going to leave my wild card for the very end and go with my thinker category. I have a lot in thinker, and I'm going between 2 maybe like evil characters, because I feel like they're just the best thinkers out there. Ultimately, I am going to select from Joe Abercrombie's first Law series I'm going to select Baez as my thinker. This might take my team down some dark roads, for sure. But I do think this makes me pretty much unbeatable because Baez pulls the strings magnificently throughout the series. He always wins. There's all this other stuff going on in the background. But ultimately, none of it matters because Baez is our guy. He's going to behind the scenes be manipulating everyone else, and he wins every time, basically. So by adding him to my team, I believe that I also win every time.
Bold statement.
That being
Bold.
said, you said by adding him to your team, that makes it more of a villain fellowship, and I'm just throwing out there, they usually lose.
And I'm not
Well,
sure.
Baez. Here's the thing: Baez has not lost yet. I mean, if you've
Yes.
read Joe Abercrombie, you know that it's not necessarily a happy ending. In fact, it's not a happy ending at all.
Not at all.
And
I'm just picturing the
is part
dynamic
of it.
between him and Moraine.
yeah, it's a weird dynamic for sure.
Yeah,
That could cause some
Baez and
issues for
Bach
your
get along
fellowship.
Together well.
All right.
I think that's
He's made his statement.
Pretty solid move getting Locke and Baez on the same team. I'll say that.
That's fair.
Plus, I needed Joe Abercrombie in my team. One of my top authors in the past couple of years since I got into his books, and he just had to make my team somewhere.
It's appropriate.
Well,
he is
Steven-
represented. Yes.
In a couple of rounds, when I make a pick, we're going to have to talk about another author you need to read if you like Joe Abercrombie.
Okay.
All right,
right,
Zach.
so-
Fourth round. It's your turn.
I think I'm going to take a risk on who I save for my last pick. So I'm going to leave the thinker alone for now and fill up my warrior.
All right.
And for the life of me, it's killing me on the author. I'm going to need someone to help.
Oh.
Who's the author of The Witcher series?
Andrei
Andrei
Sapkowski.
Sapkowski.
Sikorsky?
Yeah.
Thank you. Because I'm grabbing Geralt of Rivia.
Okay.
He was on my list.
All right.
He,
Not bad.
whether you go from TV adaptation, games, or books themselves, he is a certified badass. He also manages to fall into as many problems as he gets out of, but he always, well, usually, gets out of them well enough, and not without a little bit of luck helping him along the way. Peanut Gallery behind me wanted me to add that he's hot, so there's that.
We can't deny that.
No, we cannot.
He is a man for sure.
He is, absolutely. But in addition to being good with his sword and other abilities, he also does have some casting that goes along with, and he has a wonderful relationship with his horse. And I value that. I think if you're going to have someone on your team, and it's not an evil team, you gotta get along with the animals. So he's on there.
All right. Well, that brings it back to me. I'm going to take my thinker this time. So I'm leaving wild card for the end because there's lots of options that can fall into that. It's kind of like when you're holding on to Yahtzee for the end, one last time. But
My strategy as well.
yeah, but still I've got a choice I got to make now between my older traditional one that I just really like and then someone who's definitely a little darker but awesome for my thinker. So I think I'm going to go dark and awesome. I'm taking Decimal Tour from Malazan, Steven Erikson.
Nice.
First Sword of the Empire, Supreme Commander. He's a military genius, tactical. I mean, he basically designed the entire way the army functions. He's also, inspires leadership. He's loved by his army. He doesn't just think, he leads from the front. He is there. He can outfight and outthink pretty much anyone he ever comes across. Has a capacity for gentleness, but he will slay your butt in a heartbeat. So that's my guy.
I'm glad we had some Malzahn. I was worried that we weren't going to have any, so thank you.
No, you bet. I turned away from Tolkien for that, so I'm going. All right.
I, for my sake, need spelling on that one again.
Oh, Dassem, and then Ultor.
I've only made my way through the first two Malzahn. I really liked them quite a bit.
It's
it just
a lot
seems like
to get through.
yeah, like the thought of picking up another book and getting through it just. I know I'm gonna enjoy it, but it's just like this huge thing. For some reason, it's hard.
But
to
the
get over the hurdle.
payoffs do get better
So good.
as you go. I mean, you've made it through the tough part already. So
Yeah, and I liked them a lot. I just need to get. I think it's a personal problem, really.
You read the first two?
Yes.
So you made it through Chain of Dogs, and you weren't like, I need to read more of this. I can't understand this.
It's just the other books on my TBR. It just seems so much easier to get into.
the TBR list is real, and that is a problem for everybody.
Yes.
All right, Drew, I think you're up.
All right. Well, I have I have Warrior and Thinker left over. And it looks like only one other person has to choose a Thinker and nobody else has to choose a Warrior. So I'll be safe. For my Thinker, I am choosing Cain, Hari Michelson, from The Axe of Cain by Matthew Stover. He is not only an incredibly accomplished fighter and assassin, but I'm going to quote a line from the fourth book of this series.
This is preparation for you. I love it.
This is from the point of view of probably the most terrifying mage in the series. His name is Wraith. It was a matter of passing irony to Wraith, justly famous for powers of mind that could trap the will, blind the eye, or even slay outright, to contemplate that he had the second most dangerous mind in the room. Cain is a character who goes up against god emperors, all-powerful CEOs of corporations that span worlds, underground, mafia bosses, savage, inhuman, like demonic monster tribes, and outsmarts them all. So Cain is my Thinker.
All right.
This
Sounds
is
worthy.
another series. This is another series. I'm not familiar with.
Stephen, if you like Joe Abercrombie, you need to read The Axe of Cain by Matthew Stover. The first book is called Heroes Die. It was published in 1996. And the only reason it isn't the most wildly popular grimdark novel ever is because he published it before grimdark got popular. If that book came out in 2005, there would be an HBO series on it. There would like this guy. I'm serious. I am freaking serious. He is so good. Same author. He wrote the novelization of Revenge of the Sith. I implore you to watch that movie and read that book and tell me how much better he made that story.
I can attest to that. Having read the book, it made me love that movie more than I should.
Yeah. Like, the dude just gets character. Cain is my favorite character ever written in speculative fiction.
Wow.
That is big.
That's strong. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like,
I see why he's on your team. There you go.
This is the strongest recommend we've had yet in the episode.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, buy Matthew Stover's books, because the guy, he did not get the sales he deserved.
So if it came out in 96, when did Game of Thrones come out? Right around
So
that
Game
same
of
time?
Thrones came out in 96 as well, but Game of Thrones also did not do particularly well for several years, until Robert Jordan read it and provided a cover quote.
Huh. Did not know that.
Interesting.
This is the insight that Drew provides.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love it.
It is much appreciated.
Yeah. And in fact, if you want to go get a little more insight into the Axe of Cain, check out my stuff on Tor.com, because I have written an article about it.
Nice,
All right.
Nice.
All right.
Leaving Kane behind for now. Alex, you've got your second to last pick still.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with my rogue for this one. In the Bartimaeus series by Jonathan Stroud. So it's a little YA. I see Steven nodding. I think he knows it.
I
So
do.
Bartimaeus is a djinn. He is a being of pure magic who can shapeshift. He has casting abilities. So I think he's the perfect rogue. He's able to sneak in different places, blend in. He's not above turning into a fly to get information. He's not above turning into a giant gargoyle to rip someone's head off if he needs to. He is a pure magic creature, so while he can be injured, it takes a lot to take him out. So I just think he's a pretty perfect rogue. He has all the abilities that I want, able to spy, able to assassinate, able to gather and relay information, and he has the intelligence to find the correct information to give it to me.
What was that from again?
It's from the Bartimaeus trilogy by Jonathan Stroud.
I think it's important to note with this character, though, that the naming of the type of creature he is does not fit with what is typically associated with those types of creatures.
Right. So he's in the series, he is a creature that has to be summoned. There are beings of unknowable power. Then there are 2 levels, and then Jinn. So he's not the most powerful, but that means he's able to better stay in the physical world than some of the other creatures.
All right.
And I think you made a fair case for him being a worthy rogue. I think it's fair to go to the YA for that, personally.
There's a lot of really good YA. Then there's the not good, but there is a lot of good.
So going into our final round, we've still got 3 wild card spots open, a warrior, and my pick, a thinker. I don't think most people would pick my choice as a thinker, because it's not what he's necessarily thought of first. This is from Mistborn. Brandon Sanderson. And I was very tempted to go with Sazed, but I'm not.
That's what I thought you were going to say, so now what you going?
He thinks a lot. He's got the capacity. But I am going to go back down to Kelsier.
Kel. Okay.
Interesting.
And my thought process...
I had him down for thinker, too. Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay.
Really, when you get down to the nitty-gritty, whatever the plans were, whatever he accomplished, he wasn't perfect. He himself had a lot of impulsivity that got him into some problems. But he never told almost anyone more than the barest minimum of his plans. And yet, every page turn, you're feeling like there's more to this and more to this and more to this, to the extent that he has planned out 15 steps past his death. And sure, it doesn't all go his way. And yeah, he was a little short-sighted on things. But the man is a visionary, able to inspire others to fulfill his plans without them really realizing that they're doing it. And if that doesn't really epitomize what a thinker should be doing, I guess I made the wrong category. Oops.
All right, you've staked your claim. We do like Kelsier as a character, so it's fair.
All right.
All right.
What's your last pick, Dad?
Well, I've got my wild card. There were so many things you could put in the wild card, and honestly, I had the most characters listed in my wild card category. I am finally going to get to my Wheel of Time pick for this one, and I am picking Logain Ablar for this one, as he is by the end of the series. You know, he is Ashaman of the highest level in the Black Tower. You know, he's second only to Rand in his raw abilities. And he knows what he's doing, but he also has that whole natural leadership, charisma, organizational ability. I mean, people follow him. So to have him added to my fellowship just amps them up a whole nother level. And again, it doesn't hurt how strong he is in the 1 power. So I figured someone's going to take Rand. I'm going with Logain.
I am really excited to see what the TV show does with him, because the reports are from whoever knows these things that Logain is going to be much bigger.
Definitely
so,
expanding.
I mean, that's a great decision.
Partly just the guy they cast being one of the most famous international stars, even though most people in the U.S. are like, who's that? But they are going to flesh him out more, and I agree. That's really smart.
I can't decide if Logain is horribly underrated or horribly overrated, because I feel like if you've read the series once or you like the series, you don't really care. But for people who are really into fantasy, and especially the Wheel of Time, everyone seems to love him to death. There doesn't seem to be a middle ground.
That's kind of like Wheel of Time fans in general are incredibly passionate.
Absolutely.
And will just love all of the characters to death. And there doesn't seem to be much of a middle ground in general.
Oh, there's some that we hate to death.
I don't know.
We
I
hate
feel
some
like I
to
fall
death.
pretty solidly in that middle ground. Like, Logain is an interesting character, but he has never been one of my favorite characters, and I do not understand the fascination with him. Like, I think there are other, especially in his, like, kind of character category, other male channelers that are more interesting as characters. I don't know.
You think you think Taim is more interesting?
Similar.
He's got that evil
he
thing
was
going
more
on. Is the
interesting.
problem there?
No, but I'm thinking of like Jahar Narishma, Eben Hopwill.
Oh yeah, there are
Damer
some guys.
Flynn.
Their quality of character definitely much more interesting, but they're just not the same kind of power and leadership, which is why I couldn't pick them.
Damer Flynn maybe, but and Jahar at least is nearly as powerful as Logain. Logain's like. I believe in the official power rankings, Logain is on the same level as Samael.
He's a ++2, if you know what that means.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that's Samael and Ravin and Demandred, and then Jahar is I don't know ++3 or ++4. He's one of the most powerful Ashaman, if not the most powerful Ashaman. And he has this like kind of quiet. I don't know. We're getting off track here, but. But yeah, I like Logain's character, but I don't love him. I'm saying.
Fair enough.
All right.
I believe it is your
It's up to
turn,
Drew now. Yeah.
To get your last pick in there.
Oh, okay. So warrior time. Mm-hmm. I am gonna go with Fingolfin from the Silmarillion.
Say that one more time for me.
Fingolfin. He is one of a couple of different.
You're just showing off now.
He's one of a couple of different High Kings of the Elves in the Silmarillion.
No, he's a great pick.
But he is an absolute badass. Like goes freaking toe to toe with Morgoth, who is an angel, like an angel of an evil angel, one of the Valar. And he not only goes toe-to-toe with him, but wounds him grievously before dying. He is so fearsome a warrior that when he got pissed off and went to go face Morgoth, all of Morgoth's armies saw his face and ran away. And then he went and like banged on the doors of the most intimidating fortress on the planet. And Morgoth, this like pseudo god on his throne in his fortress of power, quote, quailed in terror. So, Fingolfin's my guy.
Is this a character that we might see in the Amazon show? Because I know it's Second Age.
I'd imagine.
Unfortunately not.
No?
Fingolfin is the first age. The second age is after...
They're doing more the Baron and Luthien times with the later stuff.
So Baron and Luthien are also
Morgoth, all that.
Oh, they're going they're doing the Numenor stuff.
They're
Morgoth.
Yeah, so the second age is after the fall of Morgoth. It's Numenor, the rise of Sauron.
Yeah.
If you read the Silmarillion, it's the Akalabeth is the section of the book, and then where Fingolfin is, he's in the Quenta Silmarillion, which is the majority of the first age. So
it's almost too bad they're doing the second age, because the second age doesn't make as much sense if you don't know what happened in the first age. And there's some great stories in the first age.
You can get away with it. I do kind of wish that we could get TV shows in the first age, but it would be like multiple shows, because the way the Quenta Silmarillion is structured, it's like each chapter is its own sort of story, whereas the Akalabeth with the second age is its own story, so they can make a show just out of that.
That's true.
But yeah, anyway, Fingolfin, that's my dude.
All right.
All right, Alex.
Yeah, this is the hardest one for me, so...
This is your wild card too, right?
Yeah, it is. And I kind of want to pick Quick Ben from Malazan, but I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to go with character from a book that I'm currently reading, Galadriel from Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. So I'm going with a wild card in the sense that she is a wild card and she'll fit well in my party. In this world, people generate mana through activity and stress, and she has a special talent for destruction and killing people. She's currently in school, but when she asks for a cleaning spell, instead she gets a spell to eviscerate the floor, which will make it clean, but also destroy the whole building around it. She's remarkably powerful, able to kill something called a Mammoth that typically in the past had to be killed by a group of fully trained wizards working together and took days to do, and she was able to do it by herself in just a little bit of time. So I think she fits the wild card because her powers are all geared towards destruction. Anytime she asks for a spell, she gets a destructive version of that spell, and she's a pretty powerful caster to go along with the rest of my group.
All right, not knowing this character at all, what limits her from the god tier? Because to me, I'm hearing she's ridiculously powerful.
So she limits herself.
That's great.
There's actually a prophecy that she is going to destroy the world, but she limits herself. There are two different ways to generate the mana. You can generate it yourself through physical activity or exertion, mental exertion, or you could steal it from other people, but stealing it from other people also corrupts you and will kill the other person. So she limits herself to just what she can generate through her own physical prowess or mental prowess.
Fair enough.
Okay.
What was the author for that one again?
Naomi Novik.
All right, thank you. Not one I'm familiar with yet.
It's a newer book.
It's great. It's
another
another way
controversy.
It's
Actually,
another way we're learning additional things to add to our ridiculously long to be read lists.
Oh yeah, way too long.
But
yeah.
rounding
That
out,
book actually had a little bit of controversy around it, as I recall.
did it?
Yeah. There was some cultural appropriation kind of Twitter, as seems to be typical for a lot of popular YA fantasy. I don't want to dump on YA fantasy, but it does seem to be that genre attracts the Twitter controversy more than anything. It seems like clockwork to me.
Well, and acknowledging how society is changing, if you go anywhere near that sort of realm these days, people will be all over you. 20 years ago, you could write things and nobody batted an eye. It's a different world now. So, yeah.
Right.
And whether or not that is a good or bad thing,
We
is a
will not
discussion
get
for
into
another
in this
day.
podcast.
Yeah.
We come to
drafting
fantasy to
fantasy
escape these
teams.
things. Yes.
But as we are drafting our fantasy teams here, Steven, we've got one last pick, and it's yours.
All right, the last pick of the draft. What do they call this in football?
There is a name for it.
Mr. Irrelevant.
That's it,
Yes.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Okay. All right, my Mr. Irrelevant. I've been just kind of stewing over who this is going to be. If you look at my current team, I have way too many like leader, protag type characters. I don't see my team working together very well, but maybe I'm just going for characters that I personally like, and that's going to be the theme of my team. So I'm going to go with a character that I think everyone probably knows, and I may get some eye rolls, but this is, I think, my favorite book out there in fantasy, and one of my favorite characters. And yes, I know he's ridiculously overpowered and just not even realistic sometimes, but I really love Quoth by from Name of the
I
Wind.
saw that
Yeah,
coming.
I
I
thought
have it
about
written
him.
down before you said it.
Yeah, that was probably a pretty predictable lead-in. But this book was, I think, my first entry into more like adult fantasy, and I loved it. I devoured the book in a couple days. I've reread it several times since, and I recognize there may be some criticism directed at Quoth because he's such a Mary Sue character, but he's just so fun to read through, and he just kind of wins everything and outsmarts everyone.
All right, I have an important question. Where in the narrative is Quoth being your pick?
Yeah, I'm gonna take him mid-third book, maybe. I mean, we haven't read the third book, but like before whatever bad thing happens that like screws everything up.
Is this allowed right now? I don't know if
I
this is
think-
allowed right now.
Published books.
I think he can make his argument.
No. We're just going to assume that he dies in the first couple chapters of the third book. That's what's going to happen now.
Is Steven a beta reader for Patrick Rothfuss? And or not even a beta reader, an alpha reader, because he hasn't finished the damn book yet.
Do those people even exist? I don't know if anyone's allowed to see the book.
I don't. Yeah, apparently not even his editor is allowed.
Yeah, that's another controversy that we can get into. But
We were
I
enjoying this
have
character, but did you actually say where he's from? Did you say it on the podcast?
He tried to say in the third book. We haven't read the third book.
So he's from the King Killer Chronicle.
Okay.
I'm gonna take him after he rescues the princesses from the Sleeping Barrow Kings and kills the king of whoever this king is. Speculated that it might be Ambrose. We'll see. After he does all the good things, and then falls and becomes the innkeeper. That's what I'm taking.
I can't wait to go back and revisit this episode in like 7 years when he finally releases the book, and it turns out that he lost all of his powers before he did that stuff.
Could be. And gosh, I hope it's sooner than 7 years, but who knows? I have faith that one day it will be published, though.
We got some more information just recently, like late last year. So hopefully he's still working on it.
He's taken to YouTube a little bit more. I guess Sanderson's rubbed off on him. He's responding to fans' questions a little bit more. So maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe it's just a tease.
All right, well, we have made all our picks, but before we move on to any last discussions and then voting, I wanted to take a moment to see, were there any other characters you had on your lists that, man, this one would have been great to mention, or you just want to say something about because it's a really cool character and you kind of regret you didn't throw him in? Not that you regret who you picked, but, any characters that you just love that you had in your draft board that you want to give a shout out to?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, who's going first?
Yes, there are.
I have two. I mean, you can split me up if you want.
No, go
Actually,
ahead.
I have three. Oh my gosh. Oh, so definitely split me up.
Okay, we
All right,
better give us one of them, and we'll jump to someone else, because I've got some too. We can go around a little bit.
All right, let's start with the caster. I had Lady from the Black Company. She is, for anybody who's read the Black Company, she starts off the series as basically the all-powerful evil empress of the world, and the Black Company is a mercenary group who are hired to work for her, fighting off the prophesied savior and her rebellion. But it turns out Lady is more complicated than that, and she's one of my another one, kind of after Cain, one of my favorite characters in fantasy. But she knows what she's doing with battlefield magic. Let me tell you, she can mess your day up.
Nice. Steven, you got one you want to shout out?
I have a couple. I'll just say them quickly for sake of time. Seiza didn't get put in at all. I think he could have fit in a lot of different roles there before the ascendancy there, so maybe before he becomes Harmony, right? And then the other character, we didn't you did a Brent Weeks pick right at the beginning, and then we didn't get any from Lightbringer, but I think Andros Guile would have been a fantastic thinker character, maybe more on the evil side, although I think he's a great gray character, my favorite character in the series. Another string puller.
Nice.
That's who I was debating with Baez.
All right. Alex?
I had a bunch. Just real quick ones. I'm surprised that no one picked either Kalam for a rogue from Malazan, or...
He was on my list. He was.
He was on your list, okay. And then Tavor also, as a thinker, we don't get to see her point of view very often, but it's very clear by the end of Book 10 of Malazan that she had planned out a lot of things that occurred in the books.
Zach, any you want to shout out here?
So I took Wheel of Time off of my list pretty much immediately when I grabbed Matt. But if I hadn't gotten him, I was really looking, and it really didn't matter to me which one, either a Slayer or a Perrin pick into the rogue spot. If only because the diversity that being able to shift in and out of the dream there works so well. Teleron Riyadh makes the best rogue. Period. Changed my mind.
That's definitely really good. So my last two were warriors.
Okay.
The main one I had, who was also kind of a villain character, Raj Aten from the Rune Lords. Have any of you read the Rune Lords?
Have not.
No.
So, big recommendation here. the author was Brandon Sanderson's teacher in college. And the magic system in the Rune Lords is, like, on record, Brandon Sanderson says it's the best magic system he's ever read.
That's saying something. Yeah.
It is fascinating. But Raj Aten is the main villain to start, and then things get complicated. But the way the magic system works is that people can give attributes through, like, rune-based magic, where, like, you can give your strength or your sight or your hearing or your beauty or whatever, your stamina, to another person. And Raj Aten has tens of thousands of these endowments. He has so much stamina that somebody tries to cut his head off, it just, like, heals up right after, like, as the sword goes through. Like, he moves with the speed of, like, 8 men. He's got the strength of tens of thousands. He's got the grace, like so there's brawn and grace, which is like the ability to flex muscles and the ability to relax muscles. And he's got the, in balance, like tens of thousands. Stamina, glamour. He is so good looking that he can, and he has so many endowments of voice that he can literally go up to a castle and say, "Look at me. I am your lord, you are my people, drop down your weapons and open your gates." And everybody's like, "Yes, sir." Like...
So I'm thinking, why didn't you pick him?
Well, I'm hearing it's because this breaks the game. This is a god character.
Not quite, though.
It sounds
not quite.
like it.
The reason I ended up not picking him is because he is a villain.
Yeah.
And he
mess with your fellowship.
He works with them a little bit against an existential threat, but when it's not like a world-ending threat, no, he's out for his own, goals.
All right.
But yeah, no, he's scary.
All right. Well, I'm going to round this out with just 3 that I want to shout out. I'm not going to talk long because you guys know who these people are, but there was a rogue that my wife contributed to the list. And I put it on, and she was never going to get a chance, but I love the character, and that was Arya Stark.
Just good. I was thinking we don't have any Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah.
So I had Jake and Hagar on my rogue list.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
There
nice.
you go. I liked that one. But then I want to toss 2 casters. When I was considering Harry Dresden, the one I was comparing and considering against was Pug, or Malamber from Raymond Feist, the Rift War saga. Yeah. The master magician. He's the greatest magician on his planet and a second planet. He's unbelievable. He pretty much eventually ascends to practically god powers, but he's still human, just almost eternal. So that was a great one. But then, just a throwback that I love. You got to pick him at the right part of the series. Raistlin Majir from the Dragonlance Chronicles. Again, before he becomes basically a god, and before he goes completely evil, when he's still wearing red robes, man, that's a powerful magician.
He was another caster that I considered.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, great character.
All right. We have our lists. Do your own real fast. Just read them across for everybody so we have the refresh, and then we'll vote. I'll go first since I was the original first pick. Again, for my rogue, Durzo Blint. My warrior is Kaladin. My caster, Harry Dresden. My thinker, Dasimul Tur. And my wild card, Logain. Drew, what you got?
So my rogue was Vin from Mistborn. My warrior is Fingolfin from the Silmarillion. My caster, Randall Thor from the Wheel of Time. My thinker, Cain from the Axe of Cain. And my wild card is Vasher from Warbreaker.
Alex?
All right. So Bartimaeus from the Bartimaeus trilogy is my rogue. Tau from The Burning is my warrior. Nynaeve from the Wheel of Time is my caster. Yasna from Stormlight Archives is my thinker. And Galadriel from the Scholomance series is my wild card.
I do really like Nynaeve, by the way. Nynaeve's awesome. Okay. Steven.
Okay, in the romp through popular fantasy book series, my team is Locke Lamora at Rogue, Dalinar at Warrior, Moraine at Caster, Baez at Thinker, and Quoth at Wildcard.
And Zach, finish us off.
Rounding it out, I have Bilbo Baggins as my rogue, as my warrior Geralt of Rivia. My caster is Sabriel, my thinker Kelsier, and my wild card Matrim Cawthon.
All right. Dang, this is hard. This is hard now. Take some time. Be thinking. I'm going to get my vote down. Don't send yours until I let you know I've got my vote done. But make your choice.
I just sent mine.
Okay, I won't look. That's on a different screen.
Don't look.
I won't look.
And do I have this right? We cannot vote for ourselves.
Correct.
not yourself.
Even if you truly do believe you are the best, can't pick yourself.
Come on, Drew, send another vote now.
Sorry, I hacked your profiles and sent my team from yours, so don't even worry about it. This was a choice to make.
Absolutely. All right,
It's a
my
choice-
pick
it's a
is
choice
ready.
I'm still trying to make. Okay,
So-
now we can send ours in.
Send when you're ready. Absolutely. I can't cheat now. See what we have.
I mean, technically you could, but we trust you not to say that, like, enough people voted for you, because we would call you out on it.
Fair.
All right, my vote is in.
Yes, same. This was very difficult. Lots of good teams here.
So
Maybe we should have ranked 1 to 5 and then some kind of point accumulation voting system.
You know what? Next time we can rank 1 to 15 with a massive group. But let's put that a few months off, maybe.
All right, so
We got to recover.
here are the picks. And we do have a winner. There is not a tie.
Wow.
All right, so Steven has voted for Drew. He likes Drew's pick.
Ooh.
Congratulations, you.
Well
like the
done.
sound of that. I like the sound of that.
One for Drew.
You were,
Alex.
you were very convincing with your book recommendations.
Alex has voted for Steven. So, Steven, you've got to vote in there.
Haha. This is like Survivor. Do you guys watch Survivor?
Yeah.
Is it possible to get voted off the island or something? Because I'm worried.
Drew has voted for Zach. So, Zach, you've got to vote there. Zach looks
I get
surprised.
to stay on the island.
It's close so far.
Wait, so there is a winner? We've had 3 different
Currently,
people.
it's Drew, Steven,
There
and
is
I
a
all have
winner.
one.
Someone's going to get 2
because
votes.
Zach
Yeah.
and I both have voted for Drew.
Woo!
So there
Congratulations.
you go. He gets 3 votes out of the bunch. Well done. Drew McCaffrey for the win. You have set up quite the powerful lineup, which the definite majority of votes have agreed with. Just to sum that up one last time, we have a Fantasy Fellowship lineup of Fingolfin from the Silmarillion of J.R.R. Tolkien. That's your warrior. Your caster, you went with Randall Thor of Robert Jordan's The Wheel of Time series. For your rogue, you went with Vin from Brandon Sanderson's Mistborn series. Your thinker is Cain from the Acts of Cain series by Matthew Stover. And for your wild card, you pulled out Vasher from Warbreaker, another Brandon Sanderson novel. Well done. But there
we
were
ever
so
hear
many
where-
worthy here. So many worthy.
I'm going to toast to that with the delicious beer I have in my glass.
Yes, we wanted to
And,
hear your final draft. We wanted to hear what it was.
Well, so actually, this works because I didn't think I was going to win, and I was being cautiously optimistic. And the beer I am drinking is an Imperial Stout from Weldworks Brewing Company in collaboration with Burial Brewing Company in North Carolina. So Weldworks is in Greeley, Colorado. Burial is in North Carolina. This is a big beer, an Imperial Stout brewed with cinnamon, marzipan, cardamom, vanilla, and brown sugar. And it is called An Allowable Sense of Precaution.
Nice.
Is this a plug? How much are they paying you for this?
No, I freaking wish.
Absolutely.
And did you say Burial Brewery?
Burial Brewing Company, yeah, Burial. They are.
It's
very
almost as if he buried us with his picks.
I like that interpretation.
Well,
But yeah,
done.
If you if you're listening to this and you want to hear about more awesome craft beers connected to fantasy and science fiction books, check us out on Inking Out Loud.
There you go. Well,
There's the plug. We knew a plug was coming.
Yeah.
this has been great. This has been a lot of fun. We've touched on a lot of different fantasy series here, and obviously there are so many characters that we just love. We get excited about. They become real for us when we dive into the books. And to be able to think about which ones we'd put on our team, I mean, we're the coach. That's pretty cool. Thank you for participating in it and joining us. Again, definitely shout outs for the podcasts here, our Hero's Journey, Fantology, Inking Out Loud, great podcasts. Hear more from these guys and those that they all collaborate with in their conversations. It's been a blast. Hopefully we can do something again down the road, some more collaborations.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hosting.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Our pleasure. Zach, anything else from you,
Yes.
sir?
I've got nothing.
You did a nice job running the draft. And what are you drinking?
Currently, it's a Dr. Comfort because
Oh no.
I'm in Texas, so you've got to have Dr. Pepper, right?
Hey, I did Dr. Comforts while I was out of town on vacation last week until I ran out of the comfort. But I was thinking of you, my son. I was thinking of you.
Thank you.
Is that what that sounds like? Dr. Pepper and Southern Comfort?
That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it
That's
sounds like.
all it is. It's a better version of a rum and coke right there.
Yeah, I've never tried this, but maybe I'll have to.
Now you will. We hope everyone has enjoyed this fantasy fellowship draft just as much as all of us did. I'm sure by listening you can tell we've had a great time talking about all these different characters and series. As we wrap up here now today, I want to just give you the usual reminders. If you have your thoughts about our winning fellowship or any of the other picks that we had, we'd love to hear from you about it. You can email us directly at fantasyfortheages@gmail.com. Tell us you agree. Tell us someone else should have won. Tell us who your fellowship would have been. We'd love to hear from you. You can also connect with us on all the usual social medias. You can find Fantasy for the Ages on Facebook, of course, Twitter. We're there on Instagram. And honestly, the best way is to connect with us on our Discord server. And links to all of that, including a Discord invite, are in the show notes. Also, again, as a reminder, you'll see in the show notes all of the fantasy series that we referenced here today. Great things you might add to your to-be-read list. And as a final note, of course, I'd love to invite you all to support us becoming patrons of our podcast. You'll find a link here in the show notes also for our Patreon page, where you can financially support us and keep us going strong, but also access some additional benefits, being able to participate in live recordings, give your ideas on what other kinds of content we should cover, and eventually even have some bonus content available only for our patrons. Take a look at that. We would love to have your support. All right, so we're signing off. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and until we catch you at our next episode, I'll just say we'll talk to you next time.